Hey guys, Ray Rougeau here, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. Keep tuning in every week, and you never know who you're going to hear. Take care, guys.
Be sure and tune in and listen to this show.
All right, we are back. Welcome back to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the internet icon Jackie Jones, along with my right-hand man.
1-inch biceps, the power goat, if you will, Bob.
and the man from the UK.
The voice of the beautiful people, the voice fantastic, Barbie Richards, Potato Man.
And our guest, right at the beginning of the show, we have Pierre Ouellet. Welcome to In Your Head.
Yeah, hey, it's nice to be on your show, guys. It's a big, it's something pretty fun for me to be on your show because I'm from Montreal and I spent maybe a few years of my career in England, and Barry is your co-host, and so it sounds familiar to me, that accent.
Excellent. I'm in Massachusetts. You might have spent some time here, too. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I did, too, for sure.
And the Inchman is actually in West Virginia.
How about that, West Virginia?
Well, I've been all over the place. You know that. I've been all over the States, all over the world, all over the different countries and Europe, too. So there's not too many places that I haven't been.
Yeah, no, there's actually a pretty big thing that's on, you have it up on the YouTube account right now, which you go over youtube.com/PC Ouellet. And we'll have that link right up on the website. So
and I got to correct you on something because I was watching your ad that you put on the website for the radio show, and you put Ouellet, OUELLETTE, but it's OUELLET. No T at the end.
I've told him time and time again, but he never listens to me. Tell him how to spell things.
That's all right. It's all right. The good intention was there. That's all that counts.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, the graphics department for our website, that's all Jack.
I just put it on them, it's the graphic department.
Right.
Yes.
Actually, right on that website, on your YouTube account, you got the... Well, we're going to get into that, but first we're going to talk about how everything that led up to that is the 2009 screw job with you and Kevin Nash. But for people to really understand that, I think you go back to, 1995... And you want to explain, probably a lot of people know the story. Some people might not, but, the infamous match with you and Kevin Nash.
Yeah, it's just in 1995. It was September 15th, 1995, actually. And it was just the fact that the Kliq was huge and big and large at the time. And I think Razor had the Intercontinental. No, Sean had the IC belt. Diesel was the world champ. Previously, Razor was the IC champ. The 1-2-3 Kid, Paul was just coming in, and it was, going along with the bandwagon of the Kliq, and Aldo Montoya. So they were pretty much having controls of all the belts and pretty much of all the creative stuff that was going on in the office at the time. And I think they had Vince by the by the balls a little bit, if I can say it on your show. And coming to Montreal, it was my hometown. But that was no big deal because I never really had a problem with doing jobs. It's just the fact that a month prior to the Montreal show, because it was a little bit of heat that happened between me and Shawn Michaels over something previously, maybe 6 months or a year before, they just decided they were going to be on my case. And at a TV taping, I didn't even know that I was going to be wrestling Nash. Diesel at the Forum on the 15th of September. It was like a month or a month and a half before, and he came up to me at a TV taping. He said, "Hey brother," he says, "in Montreal, it's going to be me and you, and it's going to be the big boot and the jackknife, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3." And in my head, something went wrong right then. I said to myself, "This is the first time, that I heard a finish called by one of the boys." A month and a half or a month before a show, a house show, and I said to myself, I'm going to wait until then But I was pretty primed up. I was pretty pissed off about the whole thing, you know. I didn't think it was professional. I think it was the pure arrogance. I think it was just wanted to screw my mind up, and it worked because when the show happened at Montreal and I showed up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Tony Guerrilla came up to me and says, Carl, he says, we want a good match, you know, with you and Kevin, you know, I know you can have a good match with him. We know, like, you can have a good match together. About 10 to 12 minutes, big boot, jackknife, 1, 2, 3, and right there, you know, it didn't, in my mind, you know, something was wrong, and I had to do something about it. I didn't want, I was never, and I will never be an ass kisser, and it was just the way it was done. It would have been done professionally, you know, I would have been professional, but it was done in a way that I couldn't accept that, and I just stood up for myself. I went straight up to them, and I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. It's going to be a double count out, or it's going to be a double DQ, but I'm not going to get pinned here in Montreal tonight. And pretty much the whole dressing room wanted to beat me up, but nobody did anything. And I guess it was a lot of pressure on Kevin Nash's shoulders because being the champ of the Fed and having like 40 boys or 30 boys around you, and you don't do nothing about it, and you go up in the ring and you work a match with the guy. And of course, everybody was like what we call the curtain call, you know, everybody was waiting there. And we did a double count out, and I could tell you, though, that every shot going back to the dressing room, because we were fighting our way back to the dressing room, every shot we're going stiffer and stiffer, and it was getting worse and worse, but nothing bad came out of it, you know.
I've actually...
That's the story. Until the next day, we were in Quebec City, and then the office made me, you know, like apologize and make sure it was going to be business, and they said they were not going to fire me. They had big plans for me. So the next day in Quebec City, it's where it all escalated. You know, I was supposed to job for him, and I wanted to do it right. And I explained my point of view to Vince and Briscoe and Pritchard and all the officers calling my house the next morning. But and then I went up and I said, okay, let's be business, let's do it right. And I dropped a leg from the top rope, and my ass landed right on his face, and that's where it's all escalated from there.
Now, was that intentional, or was that just it just happened to happen in the match?
Well, it just happened in the match, you know. But it was just a bad timing for something like that to happen.
Right.
I mean,
then you assumed
in Kevin's mind, I mean, I did it on purpose, and I know why. I probably would have thought the same thing, but it's just one of those things where, you know, you got so much pressure, and you got, you know, so much. There's so much going on around the whole thing. You know, the whole dressing room was there. It was like worse than a hockey game. Like everybody was sitting on the bench where the Nordiques used to play at Quebec City, and the whole dressing room was sitting there with the crowd, and come on, kick the shit out of him, come on, fucking give him this and that, and ton of heat, you know, it was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said like when you guys were punching each other's stuff, it got stiffer and stiffer. Did you feel any time like during your matches that he was trying to hurt you? Or was it just
yeah. I mean, in Montreal, the night that it all started, like, I felt like he wanted to show up, you know, in front of the boys and in front of his friends, that he was a tough guy and he was not a champ, like, you know, you could laugh at, and he wanted to, you know, stiff me up, but I was stiffing him back. So I think everybody was pretty disappointed of the ending in Montreal, regardless of what happened. And Quebec City, I mean, when after the match, you know, like, he stiffed me in the corner at the end of the match, and he called for the finish. Like, I did take the power bomb, the jackknife, and the 1, 2, 3. And as soon as I got in the room, I rushed into the room and I jumped on him, and all the agents and all the boys, you know, were there to separate us. And the Kliq was strong, but I had like some dudes on my side too, and because like the twin brothers at the time, the Eli brothers, like
Harris twins.
Yeah, they've been on different names, but
Right.
they had, they jumped on Sean one night at the Madison Square Garden in New York, and Diesel wasn't there, and one of them jumped Sean, and they just had a ton of heat. They were like real hassles.
Mm-hmm. Do you think part of the reason why the Kliq started and Nash, Michaels had Nash with him because he was a big guy and could help protect Michaels? Or do you think
what do you mean? What do you mean? Like Nash was protecting Michaels because Michaels was cocky?
Well, Michaels was a big name guy, so if you're friends with him, you're probably it's gonna help your career. And then it also helps Michaels because he has somebody who's big and can protect him. When he's big.
Yeah, it all started as a gimmick, in the front, in front of the camera. But it was also maybe the truth in the back where Diesel was taking care of his little buddy there, mm-hmm. and I gotta say though they got along pretty well. Like they had that same sense of humor where they would laugh at people and be really cocky and really arrogant and they were walking on top of the world and nothing was going to stop them, and that's pretty much the attitude that they had.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people talked about the Kliq and said they had a lot of power, and is that true? Like if you crossed them, would that be really bad for your career in WWE?
Yeah, but I guess in my own case, right after that match, I worked a few pay-per-views with Brett, and then we were sent to Europe, and I was still going over one of their guys, Aldo Montoya, just incredible. I was just winning every night in Europe, and they were so pissed about it. They hated each and every night, Mm-hmm. And as soon as we got back in the state, it was Cleveland, Ohio, and Diesel was the champ at the time. We were drawing maybe 2,500 people there for a house show, Mm-hmm. And Vince would never show up for a house show. And Sean's talking about it in his book too, So it was a big meeting. I was wondering, I said, why Vince would be here, just coming back from Europe from a long tour. We're in Cleveland, Ohio. There's nobody in the stands. And suddenly there's that big meeting where 9 or 10 guys are involved in it. The whole Kliq is there. Even Triple H wasn't sure if he should be part of it or not because he was just new to the company. He was just a new to the Kliq, and they told him, yeah, you got good ideas. You got you got an idea for this business. You want it bad. You deserve to be in that meeting with us. And Paul felt pretty bad being there. He wasn't sure that he belonged there. But the whole meeting was about getting me fired, for what I'd done in Montreal. And Vince didn't want to budge on that. Vince really liked me back then, and he says, hey, I'm going to handle that case myself. I don't need you guys to handle this case. But I guess the whole Kliq with maybe 3 or 4 other top guys, decided that they were going to get rid of a few guys. And right after that night, I think they let go 7 or 8 guys, and I was supposed to be the first one to go out of there. Mm-hmm. But I stayed there, and after that meeting, though, I can tell you that I was jobbing out every night, and maybe I should have toughed it up back then. If you would have known the future, if I would have known the future, I would have just, hang in there and eat it out through the tough time, if you will. But because maybe 4 months down the road, Nash and all were going to WCW, and they were becoming the outsiders.
Right.
But instead of that, I gave my notice and I quit, and I had 8 months before I was starting up in WCW. My deal was already made going to WCW. But by the time my deal was coming up, my 8 months, I had to wait on my contract of WWE to start with WCW. The outsiders were already strong over there. And by the time I got there, after as soon as they saw me there, I was out of there.
Right.
I signed a year contract, it was probably for 4 or 5 months, or I was used sporadically, on TV just because of politics, Nash made sure that he was going to take me out of there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's another thing escalating to another one, it's always like, I'm the nicest guy. I've been on different territories. I've been working all over the world, different promoters. Never had an attitude problem. My only problem that I had in this business is with Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels. And I don't want to put it like that, but you fuck with me, you fuck with PCO, you fuck with the wrong guy. I'm not the kind of guy that I'm gonna forget about it. It's gonna be there, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get your back one day or another.
Mm-hmm. Well, why do you think those guys had so much pull with Vince? Do you think it's just because they were top guys, and no matter what you thought of them, they were talented, or what do you think? Why did he listen to him so much?
Well, no doubt about it that Shawn is talented for sure. Shawn was talented. Diesel was like a tall guy. It was a good gimmick. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall was pretty talented, and he had a hell of a deal going for him. People really bought that thing, that Spanish Latino guy, the cool guy, kind of the movie, the Scarface movie, which was really, really hot, I think. So that was going on for him. And Paul was coming up pretty strongly. A lot of people were saying he was going to be the next Ric Flair, so he came with some sort of a good reputation around him. People saw him big, so I think it was a good mix-up of talent, and I think their number one quality was that they were sticking together. They stick together,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made them stronger. Because Bret was working for himself on his side, and he had this problem with Shawn, but Shawn was backed up by the Kliq. And other than Bret, he had Lex, but Lex, talent-wise, he had a hell of a look and everything, but talent-wise, he couldn't, top it off. He couldn't be as good as Shawn or Razor could be, so, but he had the look and everything. The Bret had everything, but he was on his own. So it was just, big politics there.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned earlier, everyone knows Hall and Nash end up going to WCW. Were you surprised by that since, Vince was so big on them and, they weren't really loyal? They left and went to the competition?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, because the good thing that we had going in the company at the time was Sid, Psycho Sid was right up there, and he was Bam Bam Bigelow, and they were doing great things, and they did a few things with Sid and Shawn and a few build-ups there and everything, but it was a big, if you want, tough shot to take for Vince, because them leaving to WCW was me, I was surprised. But in sports, there's no such thing as loyalty, but Shawn Michaels always been loyal because he could have jumped with them, and he didn't do it. I don't know exactly the reason why, but it was a ridiculous amount of money, too, that they got paid to switch over, and you got to look at it this way, too. You can be loyal sometime, but Vince always been loyal, has been always loyal to all these guys, all the top guys that he had, then it's a question mark there. It's sometimes business is business, and I think if it was done properly, it's all right, I think.
We got a few callers, so let's get to a couple of callers, see what they have to ask you. We've got Alex on the line.
Bonjour, Mr. Pierre Carl Ouellet.
Yes, Alex. Nice talking to you.
No, nice talking to you too. My question is, when you were in WCW with Jacques Rougeau as the Amazing French Canadians, how was it working with like the tag team division there with Harlem Heat, Public Enemy, and High Voltage and such?
It was all right. Like I said, we came in there after I had to wait 8 months before we showed up to WCW. And for me, it was a big downer leaving the WWE at the time and switching back to WCW. And then I knew that the outsiders were there. So when I showed up there, I wasn't at my best mentally and physically. It was pretty down. But I gotta say good things, good words for Harlem Heat, Stevie Ray, and Booker T. They've been nothing but very, very professionals the whole time that we were there. Actually, that was the best feud that we had going there in WCW was with them. Even Public Enemy, they were great. And High Voltage, they were a young and up-and-coming team. They were just starting off in the business. They were cool. I mean, it was nothing wrong with WCW, but for us, I think it was two things. I should have stayed there while the Kliq, was on my case and trying to get rid of me and just hang in there. And if I would have hung in there, it would have been better for me. The sun would have been brighter one day, like it was for Triple H when it happened. The curtain call, the whole thing at the Gardens. He stayed there for a year, and they jobbed him out, and they gave him a hard time, and eventually it came back. But I decided to switch, and then it was just the whole thing was bad timing. But WCW was all right. It's just that once that Nash was there and he was playing with the cards, it all went pretty bad for us.
Now, when you went to WCW, did you think the plan was for you to be a singles wrestler, or did you know you'd be tagging again with?
No, at first we knew we were going to be. That was the first. The original thing was supposed to be. We just did the Rougeau retirement match in Montreal. We were in the main event there. We sold out that place for house shows. Like it's on my list of videos too. If you want to have a look at it on YouTube, it's the big event in Montreal. But then after that, I was supposed to have Jacques as my manager, and we were supposed to go to the next level, which would have been the Montreal Olympic Stadium. 80,000 people there. And it was a hockey strike, and it was a baseball strike, and that was in '94. And Vince and Jacques and me had agreed that we were going to have a world title match with Jacques in my corner, and Jacques would have helped me out, to win the title from Bob Backlund, and that would have been hometown in Montreal. Mm-hmm. But after a couple of weeks, the stadium was rented and the plans would start to be, they were in the works and everything. And Vince just called Jacques and says, listen, Jacques, we can't do that anymore. I just lost Savage. I just lost a few big names, and we don't have what it takes to go there. And Jacques just said, listen, Vince, if I'm not going with you, I'm going to go with Hulk. And Vince says, hold on a second. I own Pierre Ouellet, I own this guy, so you're not going to be able to use him to go there. And because my contract had rolled over, because I didn't want to quit when Jacques was quitting, because my real dream was to do something bigger than becoming a WWE Tag Team Champion. So I had I wanted to be part of something big there, something really, really big. Involving a world title or involving a big kind of a group, like NWO was, or whatever it could have been, But I wanted something big. It's always been there in my heart since I was 14 years old. It still burns there, that desire. And so that when the show got canceled, me and Jacques kind of split ways, and then the whole thing happened 8 months later with Diesel. So when we did the show in Montreal with Hulk, me and Jacques reunited, it would have been better if I would have quit with Jacques and switched straight on coming right hot at the tag team the tag team belts, you know, 3 times tag team champions, world tag team champions, and switched right away with WCW. But then I decided to stay for an extra year. So by the time I stayed there an extra year, it was just too late when we did the Hulk Hogan show. It was at the Molson Center. It was like 15,000 people there.
Yeah. We actually have a special caller here on the line. Yep, he just hung up. Maybe he'll call back in. We do, Alex was, did you have anything else?
Yes, one last question, and that was, do you still know the words to the whole Quebecers theme?
Kind of. I haven't sing it for a while, but I think we're not the Mounties. We're handsome, we're brave, we're strong. We're not the Mounties, 'cause we enforce the law. You can try to hide, but you can try to run. Something like that. You can never hide. You can try to run, but you can never hide, 'cause the Mounties always get his man. Something like that.
All right.
Awesome.
And we have, thanks for calling in, Alex. And
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have a special caller back here on the line. He is the master and the ruler of the world. We got Sid on the line.
Hello, Carl.
Hey.
How you guys going on? I'd like to, I don't know if you guys have touched on this or not, but this is, Carl's got a beautiful daughter, just turned 7 months old. Her name is London. How's she doing, Carl?
Yeah, she's doing fine, actually. She just started to she's got, I think she's got character just like her dad, because she's 7 months old and she's trying to walk and she falls and she gets mad.
That sounds like her dad. He walks, he drinks and he walks and he falls down and he gets mad. Are you talking about those days of walking, Carl, or just normal walking?
No, normal walking.
There you go. No, I've been listening to a little bit his show. It sounds good. I do have a few questions. One, anybody's asked this question or not, but, Carl, we talked about this deal from the beginning. I was there when it all started in Montreal. Carl, you and I have talked about that. Records telling everyone, everyone knows this. This is nothing. We don't hide anything. Carl's my best friend in this business. Mm-hmm. And when me and Carl talk, we talk the truth. And I told Carl's thing. Sometimes he don't want to hear. And like that night in Montreal, I told him that night. I think it was the wrong thing. I wanted him to do something different. But he, him being my friend, I'm still going to stand behind what he wanted to do. In our business, and I think Kevin's like this a lot too. I know him to have been like this before. The only person really made a fool of themselves that night was Shawn Michaels, in my opinion. Kevin, when I talked to him again, was just like, I approach things like these things that happen, and you go, hey, that's a business decision Carl's make. I don't have anything against that. Now, what happened after that, in between the lines, it'll be hard to say really what did and didn't happen. All right, saying that there, Carl, we talked about that before, and we talked when I was in Montreal a few weeks ago about this deal that happened in Montreal with you and Kevin a few weeks ago. I don't know if people know this or not. Carl didn't tell me that was going to happen until after it happened. And I didn't even know until like days after it happened. After talking to Carl, he still didn't really tell me. He did tell me, but I guess he thought I should have known. Carl, knowing what happened with Kevin that night in Montreal, the things you've done, and I don't know if everyone that hearing the show tonight with Carl, if they haven't seen his website with the 4-part interviews, I think tonight's conversation won't mean as much as if people have seen those part interviews. If you see those interviews, you'll understand a question like this. Carl, I know some of the things you've done, some of the things that you really, truly tried hard, like driving from Montreal all the way to Connecticut to talk with Johnny, making all these trips over to England to your trials and things like that. All these things you've done in the last few years to try to get back to where you want to get back, Carl, including what happened a few weeks in Montreal. Would you have done anything different in all those things? Would you still drove to Connecticut? Would you still deal with Kevin? Would you still worked as hard as you worked, or you still? That's the first question. Would you still done all these things?
Oh, it's easy to say that once it's done. Once it's done, it's done. It's nothing you can do about it except rolling with the ball that you created yourself. But if I would have done things differently, probably I would have done things differently. But I'm not talking about on May 30th. I'm just talking about when the whole thing started.
Right, that's what I'm talking about too.
Yeah. I probably could have, just swallow a little bit of tough time and put a little bit of my some of my ego on the side and just let that wave, run over my head for a little while, and I think until it would have calmed down, because and that thing stays forever, and that
there
thing,
you go.
When it's all said and done, everything just lasts for a period of time, and it's a new thing after. It's a new story all over again. And I think it would have been better for me to just done it this way. But I don't regret what I've done like a couple of weeks ago, because like I said in my videos, I've been showing my good sides of myself for the last 10 years and didn't bring me anywhere. So I just think, sometimes you start to wonder, you have to be the nice and the good guy to be noticed by that office or D's office, or you just have to have the people see someone who's fighting for what he thinks is the right thing to do, and just do it no matter what, and just work hard and just do your things,
Well, Carl, and you could talk to the guys doing the show tonight, people in the business. You can tell your story, but unless you've been in the business, you really don't know exactly how hard the things you're talking about to try to accomplish some of them. To say, let the things slide off your back and do the right things and things like that. And what you were saying too, being the good guy, does that help all the time? Man, I'm sure everybody in this business, because of this internet and dirt sheets, stuff like that, we hear all the things other guys are doing, other people are doing. Are they as bad as what you did? No, they're not as bad. Has it been held against them? No, it's not been held against them. Is it just a situation? Is it a person? Maybe, maybe not. All right, ask that question there, Carl, the first one. And also I want to say, these are questions I'd ask as a fan. The second question, too, would be, after seeing your video and after hearing some of your interviews and also knowing you, as a fan, I'm going to hope that you're going to say yes to this. Are you going to try and keep on trying to get back to the business, to the place that you think you deserve to be?
Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna stop. Right now, you've seen me, Sid, like a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a week after what happened with Nash in Montreal. You've seen some of the pictures of that show. You've seen the footage of some of the clippings of the match with Nash. I'm sure you can tell everybody that I'm the best shape of my life right now. I'm sure you never seen me that big and that ripped, in a while. I'm working so hard, I've been stopping to think about the ending and think about the goal itself, but I'm more focused on the processes, on the process of doing what I have to do every day, working hard, being in shape, trying to get, my name out there, in any way as I can to have people to talk about me, and just focus on the process, and then I think the end will come by itself if I work hard at it.
Well, that's something too, Carl. Something else that I get advantage from a lot of people. I've seen your work ethics. They follow right around with some of the ones I do. We used to work out twice a day on the road. I know your passion for this business. Again, I hope everyone's listening to the show tonight. They'll really watch those 4-part interviews of that linked on to the deal with the half of Montreal tonight with him and Kevin. Knowing Kevin, and we talked about this before, Carl, you're not feel the same way. Kevin's a pretty good guy, except for maybe if some of these things happen, if he did, say, stop you from getting a job or whatever. You told me that night in Montreal he was pretty nice about that. Do you think Kevin took this well? Do you think he's also a good enough guy just to say, hey, this was something happened and it's behind me?
I don't know, but I think the way, what was agreed, in Montreal was that, he said I was going to be, trying to make it back for, the way he was in the past and put me over in Montreal. And then when we discussed that, he didn't want to put me over, he didn't want to get a pinfall on himself. He didn't want a 1, 2, 3 on himself. And he started to be, just like he was before. And that's why, people, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking sometimes, should I sue him for something? Because, I'm losing my reputation over the whole thing, and I feel like I'm the one who's getting shafted there, because, it's always something in this business where you think suddenly that everything's going to go well, and eventually there's always that little ending surprise just before everything happens, and so I just decided to put a surprise myself there. I just grabbed his armbar him. And I'm sorry if this has escalated somewhere else in the professional wrestling world where, some other young guys or young kids did that same finish in their own match because they've seen it. But the thing was like something very, very personal between me and Kevin, and I don't think this is going to end one day.
This is what I was trying to get to. You sort of almost answered it right there. That's what I was getting to, Carl, is that you told me the night after it happened, Kevin came to you and said, hey, man, you got me this time. Could you be like that and you could say, hey, could Carl Ouellet say, Kevin, this is over with. I hope that you think this is over with, and I hope we both move on from now?
Well, you know me for a long time, so always been cool. We've always been cool with each other. You always use your the way you train and the way you put so much into this business. You were like something that I wanted to follow your steps, as being one of the greatest champion in all major federations. If you have the chance, I had the chance to stay at your house for like 3 months while I was in Memphis. I had the chance to copy one of the greatest champion of all time in the world, being with him every day, train with him every day, seeing him on the phone, see him acting, be generous, with his neighbors, giving them food for their dogs if they were poor, or giving them bikes because their kids didn't have bikes to run and things like that. And when you look at a champion, sometimes we see the champion in the ring, but I got to tell you, you showed me that to become a real champion, you have to be a champion in your own heart, and you have to be a champion in your own life before you become that champion in that ring, All the rest around that, all that bullshit around that, it's all politics, but, I don't think you could take something away from someone who has it in his heart and always saw that side on you and always wanted to be like you, Not like I didn't want to be Sid Vicious. I want to be Carl Ouellet, PCO, but there's a lot of things that you can watch a movie, you could say, okay, this is good habits, this is good things that I want to have from this particular person, this is good, and you take the goods of everyone that you see and you try to make yourself a better person and a better athlete.
Well, Carl, and I told you this, and I've told you this before, and I told you this a couple weeks ago in Montreal. Things, when we talk about things, I give you advice of things that I would like to see I would be able to do. And what I was trying to get to, and you just answered it. I think you just answered yes. You'd be able to say, Kevin, this is behind me now. I hope it would be behind you. Is that what you would say? You say, yeah, Kevin, I'd like to think this is over. And I hope if Kevin was to say, Carl, this is over now. I don't have no more feelings. I'm sorry this happened. Or if he just said, hey, Kevin, Carl, this is over with me. I hope you have a great life. Could you do the same thing?
I don't know if that trust would be there. That's the only thing I'm worried about is the trust,
Right. Well,
there's someone that I could trust, like when you've known someone for so many years and you talk to someone, almost like every week or every day, and then that something went wrong, and that after that the guy's a good-hearted person, you can trust him, but. I've been, also it's a different situation for you because you've been on top with those guys. You were in that, even like you were on top of Kevin when Kevin was starting in WCW. He saw you as a model too. Like as someone to that he could look up for, you know. That's why maybe he's got a different attitude with you that he had with me back then. And
Right. Well, and
we didn't grow together in the business. We always grew separately, you know. Like you know, we were friends. We were traveling together. We had the Smoking Guns with us. Adam Baum was with us, and Bob Holly, and you know, we had like our little people with us too. But it was like you could go from, you know, one side to another, like you will always be welcomed, like everybody look up to you. So
well, and I understand that, and me and Kevin, me and him sort of started at the same time down at WCW. Now we rode together a lot, and that's something I told you before too. And I don't want to get into much more and take any more airtime up, but you know, I think Kevin maybe made a little not change personality, but his business decisions have changed when he learned a whole different way the business worked when he worked for WWF. The business is different there. We're taught differently there, and maybe, you know, that's really where he spent the majority of his career learning. He really didn't get a chance to learn a lot in WCW because there was one booker from another booker to another booker. He was changing gimmicks. But then once he got, you know, with someone, that's where I think he learned. I think that was probably the difference between me and Kevin. And I learned more before he did early, and when I was in the business, I only picked up on the things that I thought were really essential. You know, I learned a lot of great things from Pat. And a lot of things I still believe in today, and 90% of them are everything I learned from those guys, along with Ole Anderson. But again, I think I know what Vince and them think as far as some things, but I don't think like those things, and I think I can see those things still falling on to Kevin, even in TNA. So not taking up for him, but I hope that both of you guys can forget about this, and I hope for sure, Carl, that your career goes on and you get to achieve the things you want. I know there's a lot of fans out there now. There's a guy out there in Sacramento named Eric. He really enjoys you. He finally got to see the rest of that video. He sees his picture a whole lot differently. And again, I'd like to, you know, I'm not trying to push anything, but watch this video, people, and you'll get an idea what this guy's really about. Not just this guy, but what a lot of us in this business are like. And not just me and Carl, but everyone. We have a passion for this business, and Carl hit on his passion the other day, and it's part of all of us is to travel. You know, we love seeing this world. We love doing what we do. We love the fans being happy, and also in some of our situations, we like the fans being mad. And that's something we miss, and that's what we thrive for, and that's why we work so hard, and we do the things that you'll see in Carl's video. And that's one of the most extensive videos I've seen, even for a short period of minutes it is, that people could really get an idea of what really happens and what we try to do to get our position. And what I'll make this thing what makes it even better. And if you knew Carl, if you followed his career a little bit, you'll know what an asset he is to the business. And for someone to have to work this hard to get back to it, tells you how dedicated a person is. Carl, I wish you the best of luck on this show.
That was nice talking to you
on the show. I'd like to say hello to everybody out there, the Psycho Fanatics out there in California, those girls. And I'll give you guys a holler later.
Thanks for calling in, Sid.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Good night.
Last week, Barry Windham called in, and this week, Sid. You never know what's going to happen here. Well, you guys are both a similar thing, because Sid's been trying to get back to WWE. You're trying to get back to WWE. It's a little
trying
bit
to
different.
get back. Of course, we'll say that I burned a bridge right now with TNA, so WWE is the other option. But they've been pretty hard with me. You know, I think they had a sour taste of this whole thing, you know, in their mouth, and I think they could really never forgave me for my actions, and it's gonna sound funny, but I think that's why I went along with let's call it a reverse psychology. I don't know if it's gonna. You know, I feel like I had nothing to lose, you know, like, just might as well, you know, rip it off, you know, just rip it off. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt, you know.
Yeah. Now, Sid talked about this a little bit, but we didn't get your side of really what happened, but the screw job, 2009 happened May 30th, and you can actually watch the match on your YouTube account. And you want to explain to everybody what happened, you know, if they don't know about it?
Well, the screw job was like, we everything was discussed with, you know, with the agent, Bill Barron's, Kevin's agent and everything, and he was getting paid a pretty good, fair amount of money, you know, to come to Montreal and do business, and he didn't want me to pin him or anything like that, so I agreed with his his scenario that was going to be his, with his, I agreed on his being famous, being Diesel, the WWE World Champion, and being the NWO, and the greatest thing that drew money all over the planet. It was almost it outdrew Hogan. I think the NWO it outdrew probably Austin and The Rock. I think it was the greatest angle never done, in this industry, and we just didn't want to do it. So I said, okay, we'll go for jackknife, the big boot, the jackknife power bomb, and the 1, 2, 3, and I just decided I was gonna kick out at one, kill his finish for good, and then he got pretty confused over that, didn't know what to do, grabbed his bad arm, he just got injured, and just put him in the armbar and made him submit, made him tap out, and that's basically what the Montreal Screwjob 2009 is all about. It's about revenge. It's about, me getting my pride back, and me getting 14 years of frustration back to myself, and I kind of forgot for 1 second there what was going to be the outcome of this. I kind of didn't care, it was personal. It was something that I always wanted to do, and to get even with Nash, and then to show him how much this business means to me, and how much how important it was for me, the last 14 years that I've been struggling, but always struggling, but always having good, matches. If you go, like I said, on the YouTube, and you go on my page, PC Ouellet, OULLET, you'll see, I've had match with the WWE champion right now, CM Punk, incredible match with Rhino. ECW had a world title match against just incredible. Was always involved, in championship matches. I went to Puerto Rico, they put the strap on me. I went to England, was working main event all the time. It was always that close, that close to becoming, something that could trigger another thing that could have become bigger, and maybe ride a bigger wave at a higher level in this business. But because of what happened, earlier, it never really happened. So that was all that frustration, and now I feel much better.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you wanted to, could you have seriously hurt him when you had him in the armbar?
Yeah. I gotta say I was very fair to him, because I know that why would I have broke his arm? He's the only thing that I wanted to show is listen, you don't fuck with PCO, you don't mess up with me, you don't want to be involved with me, because if you do, you're in for a hell of a battle, and I have a long memory. So it was just, I just wanted to teach him humility there. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
He was smart enough to tap out because he felt that pressure, and he tapped out about 30 times. And then for people that don't know, if I got an armbar on you, you're not going to stay there for all night. It hurts right away, because I could snap an arm, in 1 second. So I was pretty gentle on that.
Mm-hmm. Now, everybody, Kevin Nash is, in TNA currently. Do you think they could use all this history between you two to, do something there between you guys?
I don't think Nash wants it. I don't think he wants any part of me there. I really don't care. Seriously, my thing is my thing. I'm gonna. Like I said, I wrote a letter one time to Vince. I said, Vince, I want you to invest 30 minutes of your time in me. I want you to meet me, and after 30 minutes, and you should decide, because I got a great story to tell you. It's a story of a champion of life. If you want to know it, this is my phone number. And they called me back. Not Vince himself, but John Laurinaitis called me back on that letter, and then he wanted to meet with me. He didn't want to meet with me. He wanted me to tell him a story over the phone. And it was about 9 o'clock a Wednesday night, and I was in Montreal. He called from Stanford, and I said, John, I said, I feel like I can hear a noise. It's like you're in your car doing something in the meantime. And even though if I tell you my story, I don't think you're in a proper position to hear it that well. He says, oh, well, let's do something. Call me back tomorrow at noon. So, okay, no problem. I was in Montreal. I jumped in my car. I drove through the morning traffic because when I left, by the time I leave, it was probably 11 o'clock in Montreal, Montreal itself. And then when I drove through all the cities in the morning going to Stanford, there was traffic. Every major city was traffic. I finally got there, and at noon I was knocking in front of the door of the Titan Towers. And the secretary says, may I help you? I said, yeah, I got a meeting with John Laurinaitis. And he went down straight away from the elevators. It didn't take like 5 minutes. He was there, and he was telling me, he said, Carl, what are you doing here? And I said, John, I just wanted to show you how bad I want this, and I didn't want to tell you that story over the phone, so I decided to drive the whole way from Montreal to explain it to you, And then we went to the cafeteria, and I explained pretty much the whole story, how bad I wanted it, and, why, I think I should be a good bet for them, and the whole 9 yards, and that didn't work out. It was just one of the things, I'd say one of the 500, if not 1,000 things, maybe crazier than that I did for them, to go back there. I'm so self-driven, nothing can stop me, I think. I'm just keep on going, and I'm going to say one day or another, life's just going to give up and just give me what I want and what I've been working for. No matter what I did, I'm just working too hard at it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, we also got Zachary on the line. He's been holding for a while.
Yes, I want to know what you thought of The Undertaker.
Great. Nothing, not one bad words to say against this guy. Just good. To me, always seems like a good-hearted man. Always mind his own business. Never tried to be on a power trip or being in everyone else's business. Mind his own things. Kind of gets along good with everybody, but he's kind of by himself. He likes to do his own thing when he wants to, and he's got a few friends. Brian Lee was one of his. He had a few others. Kama was one of his good friends. But I gotta say, he's a pretty damn cool dude. I really like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Taker's cool.
Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Barbie?
Yeah, during your time in the Quebecers, you got to take on a lot of great tag teams in the WWF. Who do you think you had the best matches with?
Well, the best match, we definitely had the best match against Bret and Owen Hart at the pay-per-view.
Was it the Rumble?
In Providence, Rhode Island. It was, what was it? No, I think it was when Bret came back at the end and won. I think it was the Royal Rumble '94. Yeah,
I was there live.
Yeah. It was just one. They always rated the best match on different programs and different sheets and things like that from within the industry. We rated the number one match of the evening. But they weren't an actual tag team at the time. It was just a one-time deal, but it was good. It was got to work against Owen and Bret. It was something very memorable, and also we had a hell of a match against the Fatu and Samu when we dropped the belts in Vermont, just nearby Quebec. Montreal, Quebec's maybe an hour and a half away from there. And what a crowd there! Where the crowd was on fire. It was a hell of a. It was on Raw. We had some tremendous good match with the Wild Samoans. They were called a different name. What?
The Head Shrinkers.
Head Shrinkers, exactly. Yeah. That was one of the good teams I liked to work because they were two big guys and they looked mean and they had a real good, solid, tough heat on them. Not one of those heat where it's something that always runs away or chicken shit heat. It was a good heat that they had. People really believed that they could hurt you, and it was a good team to work against.
Now, earlier when someone actually asked you about the song, and the original song was "I Am the Mountie," and I always heard that they had to change it because the actual Mounties, complained about the gimmick.
Yeah, that's why we use the same phrase, but we're not the Mounties because we always get our man instead of "I am the Mounties" and I always get my man. So it was just a pure slap back in the face from Vince to the Mounties. Yeah, it was. Vince likes to give receipts sometimes. I'm not the only one.
Well, what did you think of Jack and Jacques Rougeau? Did you get along with him well?
Yeah, it was. We were just very much two different person. Like he's very. How can I say that? He likes to control everything, and I don't like being controlled, so it was kind of tough for me. But being the rookie, I knew that it was, I just had to go through that period of time and everything, and we were in such competition. Like when we used to sometimes in the afternoon play tennis, and we were so much like we both wanted to win so badly that one time I think I gotta say he's a hell of an athlete. He's a good tennis player. He's a good golfer too. He's pretty good. He could have been Mr. Perfect. He could have been good in that gimmick. I would have seen him better than Kurt there. No, I don't want to take anything away from Kurt. Kurt did it perfectly too, but he was good. But Jacques, with his arrogance and with his cockiness, he's pretty good at every sport. And if you play golf or if you play cards with him, because I'm not a big cards player, but he is, and he used to play cards with the Steiners and Yoko and some of the guys, and he used to take all their money. And he was so cocky about it. He was, "Oh, come on, guys, now it's time to pay." It was just a way in his face, to get heat. He's just a natural heat seeker. But that was so much fun. But we played tennis one time, and I was ahead of him. I was going to beat him, and then I don't know what happened, but he tore his ankle. It could almost not work that night. That we had house shows, and he was in pain, and he was given everything to beat me there. So we were pretty much two guys with a lot of drive, but I gotta say he's someone that I look up to because he's got a very, very good ethic, self-driven way of working. He works his own promotion there, and he works really hard for it. He goes door to door, he sells tickets. There's nothing he doesn't do, but. To be around him all the time, after a while, you need a little break because it's just too much. So once I did a year and a half, I really wanted to fly by with my own wings and to do my own things and to be single. I didn't want to rely on anyone else to have success. Because when you have a tag team partner like that, if he gets injured or something bad happens, then it kind of kill your own thing. So I couldn't wait to do things on my own. But in the meantime, he's been nothing but great to me. He's been good. I've seen him dealt some unbelievable things with Vince. Vince respected him so much. He was one of the only guys that I knew that could have Vince on the line, calling at the office and having going through the secretary and have Vince talk to him over the phone. Vince took a lot of his ideas too, and had a lot of respect until that big falling out with the Hogan thing. When we were supposed to run the stadium, the Montreal stadium, me and Backlund for the title with Jacques in my corner, and Vince backed out, and that was the big falling fallen apart there from Jacques and Vince. So that's all they spread ways. As far as me and Jacques, I worked for him in his federation a few times, and he was very family oriented. You know, he wanted to be almost like a circus where you have the same show every night, the same matches, and just tell them it's like a Cirque du Soleil almost. You know, it's the same show every night. If you go to one town or to the other town, you're going to have the same endings and things like that. He speaks openly about it, and that's not the way that I saw the business growing. And that was his own little dream there, and he's doing well with it. I still have my own dream there, my desire in my heart. So we had to spread ways, but another guy that's always been generous. I remember when we had that ice storm here in Quebec. You know, it was like most of the house didn't have anywhere to go to stay, and he was actually helping people out, staying at his house and things like that. And yeah, he was good to me. You know, I can't say anything bad against him. He's got his own way to do business. I don't agree with everything he does, but we had our fair share of you know, not bad time, but arguing. You know, we argued a lot, but we went through. And last time I saw him, we had a nice long chat, 15-20 minutes. We crossed each other somewhere in the gym. Everything was cool. So, everything is pretty good with Jacques.
Cool. Jason, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wanting to know how your involvement with TNA came about, and did you like the character, the X character, and having to wear a mask and everything? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Well, the TNA, I kind of took it as an opportunity. I didn't want to go there and say, no, I don't wear a mask. I don't think I should work in the X division. I think it was a good way to start in, you know, because what they've seen the tape with me against Kevin Steen and El Generico from ROH, and we did a three-way, and Kevin was pretty light at the time, and Generico was, 180, 175 at the most. So they saw me having a great match with two lightweight back that year. It was 2004, I think. And they had this idea to kind of bring in heavyweight, like a 250-pound guy with the lightweight. So same kind of, it was almost what they did with Joe a few years later. They brought him by the X division. Except that I didn't have any allied there really, like in the office. I didn't know Dutch Mantle. We didn't know each other. He didn't know who I was. He was pretty much using some of the guys that he had booked previously in Puerto Rico, because he was a booker in Puerto Rico, and he knew like Abyss, and he knew like Harris and those guys. They were like kind of his boys, and didn't have much left in the storylines for me. So after a while, they let me go. That was another slap in the face, you know. Well, I was trying. I came in TNA red hot, you know, winning the Battle Royal, X-Men Battle Royal, with a big, coming in with a strong push and everything. And after 3 months, like also financially, they weren't that good of a shape financially, and I was getting paid quite a lot of money, and they had to fly me from Montreal to Nashville every week for that one pay-per-view a week. And I just think I was costing them probably too much money, and it kind of cut me off there.
Mm-hmm. I remember one thing you did, and they showed they would replay it a lot. Was you did a big dive off the top of the rope to like the ramp.
Yeah, that was just to show them how much I wanted to make it in this business. It was just to say, listen, guys in the office, you know, listen, guys in New York, you know, listen, Vince, listen, everybody. When you're willing to do something that, you know, can end up your life, because if you end up crippled in a wheelchair, I gotta say it's pretty much over with your life. You know, it's not gonna be that fun if you're not born like that, and if you're not used to live that kind of lifestyle. And when you take that risk, you know, to show them that you have, you know, pretty much you rip your heart off. You put your health at risk to show them that you're willing to do almost anything and everything to make it into this business, and that you can do stuff like others won't do, or you're really dedicated, for this business, that you have it at heart. You have such a big desire that you're willing to almost switch the world upside down, and you go and you do something like that. I think it just shows something, and also, like, that's how it all started for Cactus Jack, for Mick Foley, it started with the big bumps in Pittsburgh when he worked The Undertaker, when he went from the top of the cage to the table, and then after that he took the choke slam. Was supposed to, the cage was supposed to bend, but it gave out, and he ended up on his back there, and 2 of his teeth went through his lip. That was, what I envisioned, that's what I had in my mind, to trigger something, start something, initiate something. But then again, I was like, not so successful. So it's just been, that's why I call myself like a champion of life, because it's just that I don't give up, I never give up. I had so many setbacks, so many failure, so many things that didn't go the way that I planned, that I just keep on coming back. And I'm just thinking, excuse me, maybe the harder or the bigger your dream is, maybe the harder it is to get it. So you got to put it in perspective that my dream must have been pretty big,
right?
Because it's pretty hard to achieve.
Yeah. Now, if as we've had Eric Bischoff on before, and he's rumored that he might start a new promotion, him and Hulk Hogan. If something like that would come about, would you be interested in trying to be a part of it?
Of course. I'm very interested in helping to pop something big, because I think everything right now, whatever, I'm pretty burned with TNA. WWE, they've been giving me a hard time, and I don't think it helped out what I'd done 2 weeks ago. But I gotta say that MMA took a lot of their people or their ratings, and took a lot of people, got a lot of people interested in their product. And to me, I think it's the first time I've seen the business so bad, it's so low. You got champions that people on the street don't even know they are champions. You got names, you say names people don't even know who they are, and they're in a regular roster and a regular, on the show regularly. And they lost so many TV channels. Like, for an example, here in Montreal, you used to, even if you didn't have cable, you used to have at least WWE on a regular channel. Now they have TNA, but WWE, they only on Scores. And if you don't have a satellite, you can't get Scores. So I'd say, a lot of people don't get to see the show. And to me, there's a huge gap between the generation of, let's say, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Sid Vicious, and I could put myself in there with those guys, and the new generation. I think they don't get over as big as the other guys used to get over. Like, to me, if you have a champion, I'm not gonna take anything away from Phil, which is a great guy, CM Punk, But I don't think too many people know that he's the world champion right now in the WWE. Like, if you go mainstream, people, on the street. But even Bret wasn't like that mainstream. But Austin was mainstream, and The Rock was mainstream, and NWO was mainstream. You could see like those shirts anytime, anywhere in the world, So that's that generation. They brought up big guys, They brought them so big, bigger than life. And I think the business is at the point now where something has to pop out again like that to bring it back up. I feel like everybody says this business has always been a roller coaster, but we've been rolling in the lower part of the roller coaster for too many years now. It's time that something pops out, and I would really like to be part of it. Anywhere, like it could be with Bischoff and Hogan, it could be with WWE, it could be with TNA, but I would really think that I can help, one of those companies to really pop out big.
Mm-hmm. We got John on the line.
Yes, Jack, and hello, Mr. PCO, one of my favorite international competitors.
Okay.
I think you would be greatly appreciated in Ring of Honor. I think you have so much to offer to that product from your years of work, and I think you could help work with so many of those young kids and help get them acclimated to how to work on TV with their new TV deal. I wish you all the best in getting your spotlight that you so richly deserve, and I want to commend you for standing up for yourself. Even though many people would say that that was a little harsh, I think it's something that had to be done, and hopefully, I think you're right, hopefully it humbled Kevin a little bit. Humility is always good to have, and there are certain egos in wrestling that don't have humility and need a good dose of it. I will leave you now, and thank you for all the great matches you provided to us fans.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Those kind of calls. You know, it's always a good it makes my heart feel good. You know, it's very, very, very cool. I'm happy to hear there's some good comments too on what I've done. And ROH, they approached me a few times. I just wasn't available at the time that they did. I'm sure they will again. And there's a lot of guys I would like to work there. The Dragon, the American Dragon. Mm-hmm. It's an unbelievable. That's one of the guys that I've been trying to get a match with, like in Montreal or somewhere, because I met him and we worked together in England, but we worked with each other like as a tag team. But I've seen some of his matches in Germany, and I really rate this guy pretty high. You know, like American Dragon. I love his psychology. He's one of the young. I was talking about, that new generation, the old generation, where there was a gap there. I think that guy's got what it takes to bring it up there. To he could be part of something big because he's got it. He's got the thinking. He's got the new. He can put some MMA moves into his wrestling and get it going with good action, and he knows how to get heat. So he's part of ROH. Kevin Steen are part of ROH. El Generico. They got a few lads from England that are great too. I think they got a great roster. It's just a matter of for themselves to get more exposure. I think once they get more exposure, I think some shiny days are ahead of them there in ROH. I wish them all the best. If I could be part of it, sure I will.
I wholeheartely agree, and I love the idea of you versus Bryan Danielson. That would be a treat for all fans.
Oh yeah, man. I've been trying a few times, but he was booked in Japan, like some of the promotions in the Northeast, New Jersey, Maine, and things like that, and Montreal and Quebec. They've been trying to get me and him together for a little while. And when the ROH came to Montreal, I wasn't available. I was on tour because I'm going back on tour too. I'll be part of that big tour going in Egypt, August 1st, 2nd, the 3rd, at the beginning of August. And a lot of the good talents will be on hand there too in Egypt too. It's mostly Americans and a few Canadians. But if I could get my hands on Bryan Danielson, that would be awesome. I would really love to have a great match with him.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be great. I think that would just be outstanding to watch.
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about that match for a little while. So
I can understand why. It would be awesome.
I think our style would match perfectly. I think his style with my style, I think, is something good to be done there.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, John.
I agree so much. You're welcome, Jack. You all have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Barb?
Let's talk a little bit about IWS. Are there any guys there that haven't had like an international exposure that you think deserve it?
Just rephrase the question. You mean the guys on the IWS?
Yeah.
Would you?
Are there
train
any
about
of them? Are there any of them there that haven't like got Ring of Honor spots or maybe a bigger company that you think deserve it?
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a few there. There's some guys that went to. A lot of guys went to. They went to Philly. They worked for some promotion there. But Kevin Steen and El Generico, they both started with IWS. That was their first regular territory that they worked. Also, Sexy Eddie, who I can't remember the federation that he worked for in Philly, but he's working for. They run the ECW arena now.
CZW, I think. Sexy
yeah,
Eddie.
yeah, CZW. Yeah, Sexy Eddie was one of their big stars for a while there, and also Max Boyer used to go there quite a while, which was a type of wrestler like Chris Benoit almost, very technician, mat technician, and almost the same physique but smaller. But you could tell that he could become that type of style, and now you got a tag team called 2.0, and you got a guy called Don Paisan. And they work pretty much on the Northeast, in New York area, New Jersey area, and they're all coming from IWS. So IWS is a good federation because they bring a lot of talent too, like a lot of big names, like from TNA or WWE that just been fired, So they're drawing good crowds. So it's a good little fed there.
There's one guy who works for IWS that one of our fans has demanded I ask about, and that's Beef Wellington. What do you think about that guy?
Yeah, that Beef's got a different character. Like I haven't seen him work in the last 2-3 years because I was for a year gone in England, and every other time that I worked for the IWS was like probably work somewhere for them once or twice a year. I'm doing their big shows at the Medley, but he was in a character. Some sort of a comical, like something funny, almost not like Doink because it was like too much comedy, but he can wrestle, he can do it all, he can have hardcore matches and things like that, but he's mostly funny, like he does some funny stuff. So, but he's a good lad, he's a good kid, got a good talent, very talented. And I don't know if he's planning on changing his style or if he wants to keep that style. But like I said, I haven't seen him work in the last 2-3 years. But when I used to see him work, he was doing a lot of comedy. But he had some great matches with Steen and Generico. I've seen the three-way, and they stole the show totally. So he's very talented.
Mm-hmm. We get a caller from Wales, Andrew.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to know what Rene Dupree was like to work with and what he's like as a person.
Yeah, Rene is probably one of the most talented guys around. Very young, very talented, great physique. Great look. He's got an awesome look to him, and I think he could be something big in this business. Once he could kind of sort out all his demons, he's like kind of hard to read, this guy. Sometimes you're with him and you can have fun. He could be like one of your best friends and everything, and the next day you're gonna cross him in the street and he won't notice you. Not that he didn't want to say hi to you, just that he's in his own mind thinking about his own things, and sometimes he could listen to music by himself, with having the earplugs, like on his ears and listening to his own CDs. Doesn't want to mix up with anyone, and then suddenly he wants to mix up and have fun. So I think that's the only little thing, Rene's gotta be more focus, more mature, I would say.
Yeah.
I think he's young enough to do that, and I think he's going to have some success. I think he's very, very good. Like he could be good on the mic too. I think it was great when they gave him the dog. but he kind of killed it, or he killed it himself by doing something wrong there. I don't know what happened really, but I know he had some of his personal issues that I don't want to bring out, but overall, I mean, he's a good-hearted guy. He's a good-hearted person, and I think success is he's around the corner for him. He's just got to put it all together in his own mind.
Mm-hmm. I always thought he had it when I saw him on TV. I did see his new tattoos, though. I don't think that they really match.
I think he went a little bit crazy on the tattoos.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think he went out. He decided to get all tattooed all over the place. That's what I say is it's hard to know what Rene's thinking. You know, it's really it's hard to be in his own mind. You know, he's very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. That's the word. But he's a good person. But he's just like sometimes he'd come in England and like without any warnings and show up to the show at the promoter and say, "Hey, Brian, I'm back. Can you use me?" And Brian says, "Yeah, of course. You're a hell of an end, so I'm going to use you." And then a week and a half later, yeah, Brian, you know, I got to go back home for 3 days. It's like you just spent like $3,000 on tickets, you know, because you weren't booked, and then you're going back, and then you're coming back. It's like, I don't know how you did it. Like, I couldn't think the way he was thinking, you know, like, sometimes he was spending, the first time he got in England, we stopped at, because the road services there, you know, it's so expensive. It's like, they'll eat your shirt off. So, we stopped there, he grabbed a sandwich, he grabbed like, a soda, a couple, something else, like a few burgers and things like that. And at the end we went back in the van and said, "Rene, how much it cost you for all this?" He said, like, 25 pounds, like $50-some, you know, like,
yep.
We're only making 100 a night, you know. So it was just funny. He made me laugh so many times. I had a good time with him, but it was like I said, you know, I couldn't predict what was going to be his next move, you know, like sometimes he was going to get married, another time he was going to buy a big bar, and then eventually, after all that, he was going to Mexico. So it's just hard, you know, it's hard to follow. It's a great guy.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Andrew. Inchman, do you have a question from the message board?
Yes, I actually do have a question from the message board. Wes from Delaware, he wants to know, how did you get along with Johnny Polo, Raven?
Yeah, I got along good with him. I really got along good with him. I thought it was cool and everything. I think Jacques didn't get so good, didn't get along so good with him, but not for any reason particular. Like, didn't hate each other, but I just think that Jacques didn't want Johnny to travel with us, which I don't know why. Really, I never really asked him. I think Jacques wanted to make sure that he was going to keep control of the situation, that if Johnny was going to be with us and something was going to happen, you know, whatever, if guys drink or do whatever, and it's caused a bad rep, he didn't want it to have that rep to land on our shoulders. So, sort of way to say it, but I always got along good with Johnny, even when I went back to TNA. Not back, but when I went to TNA and I saw him back. I saw him also at not too long ago in New Jersey for a big convention. And we always have good fun and good memories, because he was part of that main event in Montreal, and he was involved with our match and everything. He had a pretty good, he was my manager actually against Jacques during the retirement match, and he played a good role in it, and I always respected him for all the years that he's been putting into this business, and he's a real wrestler. You know, I don't think he could do anything else in life than wrestle. Like, not that he's not smart or anything, but he's really got that passion for this business, and he's got a good mind for this business. And I think he should end up in the creative department or interviews department or something like that. I think he will be attached to this business for quite a long time. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. We got Joel on the line from Portugal.
Good evening. How are you doing, Pierre?
Hey, very good. Yourself?
I'm doing fine. A little cold, but nothing besides that. I actually have two questions. One of them already comes in pretty much in continuation to what you're talking about, what you guys are talking about Raven, or Johnny Polo, as he was known back in the day. He was your manager of the team, the Quebecers, if I'm not mistaken, during the 90s, if I'm not mistaken as well. How was it to know Raven at that time? Was he already a very creative person, a very intelligent person? Was it somebody that give you suggestions, give your partner suggestions in terms of how to handle yourself in the ring, in terms of ideas? Was he already as creative as he became later?
Of course, yeah. He was already, because he was always, he'd been working on the West Coast for the Owens there for quite a while, and in Portland, Oregon, and he had been to a few territories before, and also he came from WCW, and then he came up with us with Vince, and Vince didn't use him right away. He didn't want to really use him as a worker, but saw him like as a good talker or a good guy to do interviews and things like that. And I think he was a perfect fit for the Quebecers as a manager when he came in. Like, I don't think he really liked that spot, because I think he wanted to work in his own mind. Like, he was ready to go, and he didn't want to be a manager, but he was probably waiting for his turn to come, you know, and he did it with a lot of professionalism, you know, very professional, and he always came up with good ideas, whether it was for an interview or whether it was for a match or for a heat spot or for different kind of spots or the way we could use him. And that was his idea, actually, to use the Montreal Canadian shirts and the hockey stick when we won the straps from the Steiner Brothers at Monday Night Raw in New York. And he had a lot of good ideas, and I always saw him as a good creative person for this business. So I have good things to say about Johnny, about Raven.
Yeah. I see. My second question, also, you were talking about WCW a couple of moments ago. How was it to do the transition from WWF to WCW?
This is totally different. Like, to me, growing up, you know, I grew up with WWF on TV, and I grew up watching Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Bears the Barber and Valentine, and all those guys, Coco Beware. And I don't know, I just always saw it as the place where I felt like I was home, you know. And when I went to WCW, I just felt a different. It's just that I had time in WWE, got close to Vince. You know, Vince called me at home a few times. Was always, if I waved at him, was always willing to give me some of his time for ideas for a meeting and things like that. And when we got to WCW, I felt like I was going to have to do the whole thing all over again, you know, going through the processes all over again. And I just felt more, it was a little bit colder, it was a bit different, it was a whole different area. And it's totally different being in Atlanta than being in New York. I don't know for what kind of reason, but I always felt like the guy that came from Atlanta that went to New York never really felt that good, and vice versa. I don't know why. He just showed up, you know. He shows on the tape like if Dusty was doing like unbelievable in Atlanta. He came to New York, he did good, but he didn't do as good as he was doing in Atlanta. A bunch of other guys like that. I think Flair was the man Flair was the man there at WCW, NWA, and when he came to New York, he was one of the main men, but he didn't do as good as he did in WCW. It's just like, for a reason, people were tagged WCW, they were tagged WWE. And it all changes with the NWO, like actually when Razor, the way they did it with the Outsiders, I think that was the way to do it. I mean, for them, all the stars were aligned, and it all worked perfectly. I mean, it was good timings all over the place for them, you know, and then Hogan joining and everything. And actually, it took a while, like I said, like the guy when they went from north to south, like Hogan, when he went there first, took a little while before the NWO was the main thing that got him really, really over down to the south, you know. So it's just different, two different. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It just felt differently to me.
Thanks for calling in, Joel.
Thank you, Pierre, for answering my questions.
All right.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.
Inchman?
Yes, another message board question from Doiner. He wants to know, well, he brings up that you took Bret Hart's jacket. He wants to know, did you ever wear his jacket when no one was around?
I feel like saying, yeah, I was going out every night in nightclubs with his jacket, but no, I didn't. It would have been cool, but I didn't think about it. You know, I just left it in my bag, in my wrestling bag, and I never thought of it. You know, it would have been so good. It would have been such a good rib. Hey, guys, what's going on here tonight? But I didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, what did you think about that, the Jean-Pierre Lafitte character?
I just thought, I thought it was like, they built it too much as a character, like, they wanted to make it too much like cartoonish, but, the Lafitte character, the way I had it in my mind was more as a warrior, someone who lost an eye and someone who keeps going, you know, with an handicap and doesn't give a damn, you know, doesn't care. And I almost think like it could have been something like you know, when you have one of a very important match, like something like a world title match that you're challenging for a title, or a nice hot feud where you have to win this one absolutely, maybe as a sign of when you wear the patch, you know, it makes you invincible. That's the way I saw the eye patch, more like as something that your weakness becomes your strength. You know, you use the negative and you turn it into a positive, and that's what I wanted to do with the Lafitte character. And I suggest the idea, but I didn't want to be called Jean-Pierre Lafitte, and I didn't want to be like a pirate, but the way they did it. But I was happy with it, actually, because it was my idea. I wanted to do something different, but I felt like if I let them put their own thinking and their own mind into what was my first drawing of the character, that they would push it more than if it was all my ideas. So it was a combination of me and them, but I would say it was a quarter PCO and 3/4 WWE there, like, you know, on that character. It was some of the ideas were mine, but they weren't all mine.
Right. Now, I know you've recently kind of changed your style a bit to, you know, incorporate more MMA holds, and now, like, if you were just starting out, would you, and, you know, MMA was as big as it is now, it wasn't as big, you know, when you got into wrestling, would you have pursued MMA instead of wrestling?
Well, I think I would have, but, you know, probably they would let me fight in some area in the world, but I for sure I couldn't fight here in Montreal, because the what do you call it, when you have to need the license with the
licensing or
what's
commission?
That? The commission, the commission here in Montreal is very, very strict. You know, you need a scan on your brain to make sure you didn't have any concussion. You need to have perfect vision on both eyes and being blind from one side. So that's right there an handicap because I was a pretty good hockey player too, but I couldn't go to the professional because you can't go pro with one eye. So it's the same thing with the MMA. They have those kind of rules where unless they would make an exception, I don't know about Vegas, the UFC, but I was trying to get some matches here going in Montreal, and it just could get by the commission. You know, they don't want to let me fight with one eye. So that's the main thing where I'm sticking with the wrestling business.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank you for. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it, but also I like the MMA so much, and I think it's about time that it's not only a figure four anymore. It's not just a Cobra clutch anymore. That we can add some different holds that people know, and we can mix it up with wrestling and just keep the more action, but also a better variety of holds. So that's what I was going to get at. You know, get more MMA into it. Like I think people would like that.
Yeah. When Lesnar won the UFC title, were you proud because he came from wrestling, or
Of course, because like everybody kind of say, oh yeah, wrestling is fake, wrestling is this and that. But when you see one of the guys, one of the boys that came from from professional wrestling to MMA and straight on top, he had that one loss against Frank Mir, and then right after that, boom, 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 and straight to the world title, and crushed, Randy Couture. So it's pretty amazing. It makes every wrestler, I think, every professional wrestler look pretty good. Like it's good for the business, I think.
Yeah,
it's great.
Well, we'll let everybody know you go to your YouTube account, which we'll have right on the website, so you can just click it. It's PC Ouellet, and that's OUELLET, not double T. E.
Yeah, and then you click on the page there, and you have all the videos. You can see that I was, always surrounded by champions or by guys that were champions, and that I was close, that close to be involved into something big. And then to me, it's some signs that I just gotta keep on pushing it, and it will come. That's I think a winner, a quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. So that's the way I think.
Right. And you can watch your match with Diesel, not Diesel, but Kevin Nash on there. And
I got to tell people though, it's only some parts of the match. It's the entrances and the finishes.
Yeah.
And the finish, because we didn't show the whole match because I think the company wants to release the DVD, and they didn't want to get scooped up on that, but someone put someone from the Fed, or I don't know, Jan O'Kane or whatever his name is, decided to put with a end camera at the beginning of the end of it. So it's enough to see what happened. If people just heard about it and didn't see what happened, and they want to see how it's done properly, you put a real arm bar properly and without any mistakes, you can go and just watch it. You'll see it.
Right. And as Sid mentioned, there's a 4-part interview with you up there, which I watched earlier today. That was good stuff.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for coming on tonight. It's been
it was great. It's a great show, guys. I was happy and glad to be part of it. And I want to tell all the fans, all my fans, and everybody that DCO's got, is, like I said, the shape of my life right now. I'm so ripped, so big. If you go on that website, you'll see the picture, and I look like Brock right now. Like physically pretty much the same size, the same shape of maybe. We look pretty much alike. Like I said, I show Sid saw the picture and he said, "You look just like Brock Lesnar," and then I just changed all my style pretty much. Adding like MMA and adding some suplexes, and then it's just changing and evolving with the business. So I'm staying on top of everything. So when the break comes, I'll be more than ready.
Excellent. Anything you want to tell everybody out there before I let you go?
Well,
I think you just.
I gotta say, if you wanna see something different, you could go in Montreal. It's called it's info-wrestling.com. Info like info-wrestling.com. It's a good wrestling website here in Montreal. And actually, like I said, the radio interview was on their website as well as it was on yours. And I think from being from in LA and them in Montreal, I think you could both help each other out, increasing your viewers and increasing your visitors. So invite the people to check it on this website. And same for the ones in Montreal. We've been putting the website on the guys put the website on the front page, and he's been helping you out a lot. So hopefully it's going to be good for both parties.
Yeah, we'll put links up for them. That's it's like you said, info-wrestling.com. It's also I believe it's loot.com.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, it goes
same website
to the other one, so
right.
It's easier. Yeah.
Excellent.
And I just want to thank you guys. Give me the chance to explain to all the fans what really happened and what PCO is all about. And sometimes people they make an idea of a person by seeing things and hearing things on the web, but once they hear it live and they got a question and an answer to everything, then it solves a lot of doubts in their mind. And I think you just helped me doing that tonight.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Captain Nash. You listen to InYourHeadOnline.com, the only place to hear people like me tell it like it really is.